I'm a little bit out of my territory on this job, but I wanted to take you guys along with me. So I'm in Grosse Pointe, Michigan. And if you ever seen the movie Grosse Pointe Blank or Clint Eastwood's El Camino, that tells you a little bit about the location I'm in. It's Wayne County. I'm in Grosse Pointe Woods, Wayne County. I mean, it's mostly known for its beautiful, beautiful drive down Jefferson that you've seen in both those movies show that drive, and the Grosse Pointe Yacht Club. So this gentleman wouldn't take no for an answer. Jen kept taking his calls, and he kept demanding to talk to the owner. Now, because it's winter, so spring is a different story. It's winter. Winter work, I look at winter work differently. Sometimes I can drive a little farther, but this is quite a drive for us. We're north of this quite a ways. So you can see the water just pooled in here. This is a situation where there's no infrastructure for drainage, none. And they got this beautiful brick veneer home. I mean, it's everything you see here, the window boxes for flowers. I mean, this is just so true to Grosse Pointe. Nice brick paver patio. But this here, you can see by the discoloration of the yard there, it just holds water. And really, really bad come spring. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up in here because I don't have any utilities in here. This is really nice. Come through here. The one nice thing about these older communities, a lot of what we have to worry about in the newer subs is up on the poles still. So that was, the old school. So, I have electric and I have some of the fiber optics, different things that run around this yard. Looks like I'm only going to have to worry about this one right here. Crossing it. We're going to run 120 feet of French drain through this soggy location. The downspouts on the garage, we want to collect that water. So we're going to put a sump pump in here so we can lift this water out of this backyard. And we're going to run the downspouts right to the sump system. Now, what do you do when you have this? And you're cemented in. Cement right to the property line. Over here, we got the power, electrical. We got a beautiful terracotta. These are the clay kelmed bricks. The electric crosses right here. So if you're going to go this way, you're going to be dealing with that. Then, how do you get past there? You can't dump the water here. Then the basement ends up wet. And you have this beautiful, house has a true chimney, true fireplace. So I'm not going this way. But stay tuned, because we're going to do this install next week. I'm going to cover it from A to Z. And I'm going to show you guys how we're going to take our patent pending design of a sump system and how we're going to take this yard that becomes a lake, which is now workable right now, and I'm going to show you how we're going to evacuate the water. Stay tuned. All right, so now we have it sprayed out. I want you to take a look at it. Collection area. We're hitting the potholes. Basin for the yard drain part of this. Look at this, man. Stay in your collection areas. That's where you're going to pick up all your water. Don't leave any water behind. You can see, look at this. So, for this yard, this is a defined collection area. We're gonna do a yard drain with inlet basins and a French drain. We're separating the pipes so we don't contaminate our French drain system. Told you guys, A to Z, you're gonna get to see it. Notice how the school behind the home where we're working, the sports fields are crowned so that they stay dry. That's really some good planning by the engineers. And when this was built, there's a lot of schools where their sports fields are too flat and they're just a mud bog. So this is great, with the exception that all the water comes right towards this home. And when you have that much property shedding water into your yard and there's no way to get the water out, you end up with a lake. All right, so we laid our system out. Then we took our plywood as far as it would go. We really don't have enough plywood for this job, and that's because we had to travel so far with just 2 vehicles and 2 very small trailers. So we're gonna come in tomorrow with the rest of the stone and be able to haul out the rest of the dirt, but we're gonna get as much as we can get done today. That's always the goal, and leave, you know, just, we're hoping if we push till dark that this job is something that we're going to get done tomorrow without having to push hard. Sump system right here. There's a outlet right there to plug in the sump system. So that just worked out. That's just dumb luck. We're also going to tie in the downspouts on this building into the sump system. We want to catch that water, and then we don't want to let it go. It's too hard to corral. Grab it and get it right to the sump system. That's the plan. This job has been methodically thought out. I've been here. I walked it. I looked at all my options. I'm going to tell you why I'm doing what I'm doing, what I saw. We're going to have to cut this out by hand. This side, we cannot cut that with a sod cutter. It's just going to sink and bury itself. Again, the yard drain is going to have a catch basin here, right in there. These are the collection points. These are great collection points for a yard drain. We're going to run our French drain in the same trench. This is a sump pump system, yard drain, French drain, hybrid. This is the way to leave it to where you have no regrets. I mean, this is a no regret system. This will work in Hawaii. This will work in Florida, Louisiana. This will work anywhere. We'll take it if it's working. Nice.
Yeah, I want to see the cable in the front.
Oh. In this line of work, you can't be afraid to get dirty. It's an occupational hazard. Always put your sod on the opposite end of where you're going to be working. We're going to be working from the Plywood road. The dirt's going to come out, it's going to get hauled out. We're going to bring in all the materials and the stone, do our burrito wrap, and then put the sod right back. Cut it in manageable pieces. It's easy to handle. Nice hat. Look at that. Sprinkler line. It's right in the trench. It's always right in the trench. I hope this visual helps all the subscribers. So we ran our system in the lowest point of the yard. That's the collection area. When we removed the cut sod, look what happened. All that water filled that very shallow 2.5 inch trench. Our system is going to scream. This system's going to work great. They're never going to see standing water again. Now, it is just instinct for a homeowner to want to put dirt in this collection area. But where do you think the water is going to go after you fill this in with dirt? Now it's 10 times harder, and it takes 10 times the trench and pipe to round that water back up because you scattered it everywhere. So when you have defined collection points, do not haul in a bunch of dirt and chase the water up towards the house, is what usually happens. Or now it's spread out throughout the entire backyard, and the only way you're getting it is with a French drain grid. And you're going to be running a lot of pipe and digging out a lot of dirt. got some big anchoring roots. Getting into some blue clay down there. A lot of roots. The hemlock is shallow rooted, it's no threat. We're going to oversize the hole. We want it to be bigger than our sump system. That way we're going to drill a bunch of holes in the housing of our patent pending chambered sump pump system. The voids in the stone around it are going to be part of the acting chamber. This sump pump should last forever. The switch in it is not going to be short cycled. It's not going to be pounded to death. There should be a fitting.
The fitting.
We should be able to find a fitting where the other line was connected, like a T fitting.
Yeah, T fitting.
Maybe we go a little bit that way. Yes, sir. All right, so we hooked a sprinkler line, and as soon as you see a sprinkler line, jump out, cut it immediately, because if you pull on it with the machine, the line comes off a fitting, and it's really hard to find where it came from. I've seen guys hook a line, not know it, completely raise the arm on a track hoe, and it was a joke. There was no finding where that line came off of. Now, it's Michigan winter. It's January. Sprinkler systems are winterized. We don't have the luxury of turning this thing on and seeing where the water blows out. We also don't have very much daylight. These are some of the shortest days of the year in Michigan. Beautiful. Came off this fitting right here. All right, so when the excavator caught it, that line, it's a 1-inch poly line, and this is a T. It pulled it right off the fitting. That's what it usually does. You want to look for that. You want to work smart, guys. These sprinkler systems are expensive, and you got to take care of this as you come across it, or it's just a mess, and it's just impossible to deal with at the end. So we're getting into the clay. There was topsoil on top that I'm sure the homeowner put back here at some point, maybe to try to raise some of the elevations. But the whole east side of Michigan is what we're dealing with. That's why water just sets like it's in a bathtub, because it basically is. All right, so dry wells don't work in clay because of what we just talked about there. How this will just be a bathtub. You could fill it full of water. If I filled this full of water and we come back tomorrow, the water would still be there. That is just a fact. That's why dry wells don't work in clay. You have to have some really good percolating soil to do a dry well. We are going to build this, however, like a dry well. We're going to have a big, giant chambered sump pump system. And we're going to have all types of stone and high octane in here to act as more of a reservoir, more of a chamber, so that this could keep up when all that water is shedding off the school sports fields. I want to make sure this half-horse Liberty has a fighting chance. It's a good, strong pump. I know what its capabilities are. And this reservoir is going to hold hundreds of gallons when we get done. All right, so we're just going to make sure everything is the right width, depth. We still have to put our fabric in, but we're not done digging everything out. The height looks good. Maybe just a little lower. What do you think? And then 3 more feet. Well, just oversize it, you know. You want to leave more room here for high octane and the Baughman Gold. Maybe we'll make it just a little bit wider to accommodate all the fittings. All right. So we're going to connect that 3-foot piece to this chamber, extending it, creating a larger chamber on this sump pump system. If you buy one of our set it and forget it's that we build for you and ship to you, and you just dig a hole, drop it in the hole and plug it in, and you want to add length to that chamber, just let me know at frenchdrainman@gmail.com. Get a hold of me. Whatever you need, we'll make sure you have it. It's good to have some help when you're sizing your system. You want to make sure that your plug reaches the outlet that's intended, because you could always, at this point, still dig this hole out a little bigger that way and just kind of shuffle the whole system that way. So we added 3 feet to this chambered system. So there's 3 additional feet. If you're looking to do something like this, just let us know. We can ship that to you. Once your hole is sized to your chambered FDM sump pump system, made with all kinds of care and love by Marcelo and myself, you want to go ahead and line the pit with our drainage fabric. So when we ship these, you pull off one of the end covers, you'll see a wrapped bundle. That's what it's for. It's for the pit. Use that for the pit. And then we ship you some sods or fabric staples. Now it's okay for it to overlap in here. I know I don't like overlapping our French drain system because it slows down the flow rate. We really want to make sure that the stone around the sump system doesn't migrate into dirt, and dirt doesn't migrate into the stone. We want this to last forever, because Baughman tile is building materials that last for 200 to 500 years. So we know the housing on the sump pump system, the basin, the chambered sump pump basin, is made out of Baughman tiles, culvert pipe, smooth on the inside, corrugated on the outside. You could drive semi-trucks over it. You can drive giant John Deere tractors over it. It doesn't matter. It's built for it. Now we've had a couple of other tile companies now reach out to us, but nobody has stepped up to the plate and built a yard drain pipe like Baughman Tile did for us. And you know what? I'm not price shopping. I'm not willing to sacrifice quality, okay, over price. I'm not going to do it. So we're sticking with Baughman Tile. I'm just letting everybody know that this is something that we've been very, very strict about our entire career is the quality of materials. We make sure the homeowner gets their money's worth. Starting with Baughman Tile Company building our chambered sump pump basin. Look at how strong these welds are. The craftsmen at Baughman Tile Company, I can't say enough good about the craftsmanship of every single component and part. Everything comes from Baughman Tile, delivered to our door. I haven't had to reject a single piece of pipe ever with Baughman Tile. Now that's saying something. All right, so what the guys are going to do here, we're going to drill some holes because we want the water to run through the voids in the stone. We're going to put some pieces of high octane in here as well. We'll show you that, of course. That's what this is all about. This is live and raw, man. You guys are down in the trenches. No editing, no voiceover. And for a three-man crew, I would say we're working pretty efficient, especially when one is the videographer. So we're going to drill holes through this entire chambered system. The only place you do not drill holes is underneath where the pump is going to go. You do not want to drill holes there. So as a rule, homeowners who are buying the set it and forget it, don't drill where the guide rails are. Set your pump in between the two guide rails and don't drill any holes underneath that, okay? But you can drill holes everywhere else. For the outdoor applications, I'm reserved on doing that on indoor applications. Of course, 2020 is going to be the year for sump pump systems. We are going to show you everything that you've been asking for. All the industry tricks, all the secrets that we kind of kept close to our vest as job security, we now have to share it with the subscribers, the DIY, because our patent pending sump pump system we are now offering to the public and contractors alike. So we have a moral obligation to show you how to use it so that you get the best results. We want to make sure that you achieve the same outcome that we do when using one of our chambered sump pump systems. We have a lot of designs under our patent. We have a lot of layouts. You're going to get to see those as the year unfolds. Certain sump pump systems are going to fit certain applications. All right, so we have the 4-ounce non-woven geotextile fabric that has been punched for a higher flow rate, lining the entire pit. We are now drilling a bunch of half-inch holes throughout this entire chambered sump pump system. Once we're done doing this, we'll just set it right in the pit. We can go ahead and backfill with drainage stone at that time. We may have voided our warranty with Baughman Tile by drilling 300 holes in this thing. That's all right. It's overkill, right? We're not going to drive semis behind this man's garage, or a John Deere tractor for that matter. You want to oversize the hole so you can get high octane in there. Just put a few high octane on each side with end plugs on them. This is going to add to the chambered effect. That way, once again, in a case like a hard downpour where this yard floods and it takes on a lot of water, we got a big reservoir in case the pump falls behind. And then when it comes to short cycling, well, that's just not going to happen because we got this giant chambered system. So this chambered system is going to displace a lot of water. So it's going to take forever for this to go up to a height to where it goes to the on position with the float. The water is going to go through those holes that we drilled into the high octane. All that is acting as a reservoir in a chamber. So it's going to take a lot of water to fill the bottom of this to actually move the float. And when it turns on, it's going to count. When it turns on, it's going to pump out probably 150 gallons, this system here. Well, this boot is a size 12, so that just shows you how big this tree is. So the anchoring roots to hold a tree up this size, they'll span over a 50-foot area easy. So actually, they'll go to 75 feet. The neighbors got anchoring roots from this tree in their yard. For something like this, we'd rather use Kubota power than manpower, that's for sure. Over the years, this tree has raised the ground around here. But that's all right. We'll go through all those high areas. We'll get the bottom of the trench flat so that it doesn't hold water, and it'll have slope all the way to our chambered sump pump system. Now you can see, just from the sod being removed, this is just collected with water. Matter of fact, it's so full over here with water, even though we took 2.5 inches out, it's starting to just spread into the lawn. Once our system's in, this water goes down through the stone into the high octane, which is just a giant void. Since this is going to have slope, the water is going to just be gravity fed to our sump pump system. This is why you don't fill in your low spots in your yard. They're perfect for running the system and collecting the water. You want to grab up the water in the lowest points. This doesn't meander because of any other reason. We were staying in the lowest point of the yard, and this is just how it happened to meander. That's how you collect water. That's how you design your system. Just look for the lowest points. If you want to build a yard drain inside your French drain and just make the most of that trench, I recommend it. All the bulk water here, I definitely want a yard drain with my French drain. right, so at this point, it took us 2 hours to get here. It's winter, it's January, we don't have much daylight, it's the shortest days of the year. The goal now is, let's just get all the dirt out of this trench so that we can come out today with the track hoe. Again, we are only operating with 2 trucks, 2 trailers. We came in with what we needed, a little extra. If we can get all the dirt removed today and get one piece of equipment out of here, it's going to make tomorrow really easy. Everything's got to be methodically done when you're going 2 hours away from where you dispatch from. There's no time to go to Home Depot. There's no time to go to a rental center. You have 2 hours there and 2 hours back, and the days are short. It's winter in Michigan. You know, for a homeowner to do this job, you know, have a Sawzall so you can cut some of the big roots. We have a giant silver maple, and the roots have been non-stop. We just keep hitting one anchoring root after another. And some of these are literally as big as my thigh. I mean, it's crazy how much wood has come out of this trench. So we haven't made really good progress because every foot there's another giant anchoring root. But the good news is we have a lot of slope. I mean, a lot of slope to our chambered sump pump system, and we're gonna drain this yard out. It's gonna rip, man. It's gonna rip. We're at 2% slope. You know, just a layman's way of doing that is for every 100 inches you want 2 inches of drop. Now, it's not exact, but it's darn close. So for homeowners, no need to worry. Just take a measuring tape, and for every 100 feet of length of trench, for every 100 inches length of trench, you want 2 inches of depth. That's a real easy way to be very, very close to 2% slope. Mud and roots. There might actually be more roots in this bucket than there is mud. Now remember to take marker paint, and every time you come across a sprinkler, to strike a line, or sprinkler line. Hey man, it's it's that time of the day. All right, so here's a sprinkler line, and it's so easy to get lost amongst all the roots. And you know, you go ahead and you start putting in your fabric and you miss one. We don't have that luxury of being able to run the sprinkler system this time of the year. Everything's been winterized and blown out. So we take marker paint and just strike the ground wherever we cut a sprinkler line. Then when we're unrolling the fabric, we look for it. We'll go ahead and put a coupler in at that time. Cut a little hole in our fabric so we can get the sprinkler pipe through. It's a methodical way of going about it, but don't leave all these loose ends and expect to remember where everything's at. It's not going to work out well for you. This is the only time I could show you guys this. So there's our chambered, patent pending sump pump system. As you can see, the water's flowing like a river. We got a lot of trench opened up right now, and this yard was holding a lot of water. Look at that. So this will just keep collecting and filling. You see how we got the high octane next to the chambered sump pump system? Hopefully you guys, this visual helps. When I talk about the water just comes up and it fills the high octane as an added chamber and reservoir. All the holes that are drilled in this chambered sump pump system, it's all level. Like the inside of our chamber is the same height as the bottom of this, where the water line is at. Same water seeks level. It just passes through all the holes. Now, it's going to take a while for this to get up to a point to where the sump pump actually does run. And we have several of the high octane down there that just basically are added chambers for more reservoir. Man, it's like a river. It was getting too hard to work this yard, so look, it's filling up this. Look at the water, man. Trying to get the water out of our way. You know what's nice about running water in your trench? At least you know that you got your slope right. Look at that. It's just rippling over the bottom. Perfect. It's nice flat bottom. Just love it. So that's filling up. We're going to end up having to run that thing before we get everything plumbed as far as the discharge line. Well, that helps getting rid of a lot of this water. That's for sure. Well, the LED lights are bright, I will say that. Am I getting too deep? It's right on? All right, cool. That light works great. It lights up the whole job site. Sweet. All right, so we ran the Baughman Gold from that downspout to a tie-in on the outdoor sump pump basin, and then we ran that downspout to another tie-in. Then we had two pipes, high octane and the Baughman Gold for a yard drainage pipe. Go over that again in a minute. So here's our discharge line. We're going up gradually because the fence is on an angle this way. So we're going up gradually. I'll explain that as we make progress there. And what we did is in the wintertime, this is January in Michigan, you know, the situation is so much different. You know, we do pretty good in the spring and fall. I mean, somehow we managed to get through that, but we ran into a tree stump, which is not uncommon. You know, you get into a job and you find out there was a big old tree 5 years ago taken down, and, well, long story short, man, we had to dig through a bunch of wood. But we have a yard drain, and somebody in our comments said, hey, why not blind inlets? Okay, so great question. There's too much bulk water here, just far too much bulk water here. So we put in a yard drain in our French drain. So the Baughman Gold is inside the burrito wrap with the high octane. I'll actually put this all together for you guys because I just been shooting it live raw, and honestly I just wanted to get this thing done, and we just want to get out of here because the weather's going to turn against us. But I just wanted to show you. So here's a collection area for the bulk water. There's one of the inlet basins right there. Always recess that low so that the water, because remember, water can't defy gravity and just come up and go inside a catch basin. That's for bulk water, because all that water that's running in off the sports fields behind here, because there's a school behind here. So we got an inlet basin there, got an inlet basin here, and then we got an inlet basin right here. That's all on the Baughman Gold, the solid yellow. It's separate from the French drain pipe. You never want to put a basin on your French drain pipe because all kinds of garbage ends up in it. We could always flush the Baughman Gold out, but once your French drain is full of garbage, you know, you just put basically an expiration date on your yard drain system. So Ian's spreading some grass seed over here. I just wanted to show you guys, like, this is a broadcaster just for grass seed. I love it. It's efficient, it's accurate. And when we dormant plant in December and January, we get 50% of the seed to grow. And then when we dormant plant in February, I get 75% of the seed to grow. So we have a high success rate with the dormant planting when we're doing work in December, January, February. All right, guys. So always spread straw over your seeded areas. That'll keep the seed from blowing away, floating away, the birds getting it, and when this straw biodegrades and breaks down, it's going to be a great fertilizer. It's going to feed the grass plants. So we got some really good bluegrass blend. So here's our sump. You know, there's going to be grass growing all the way around it. Again, we just seeded because of just how muddy it is in January. So here's our discharge line. Notice how we're not using any fittings here. This is seamless. there's no fittings to leak or break. So we got schedule 40. We're going up. We're going up gradually, just gradual. Reason why is because here in north we can't use a check valve. And if you live in the south, why would you want a check valve? Think about that. Because they wear out. Build your system so you don't need it. If it's a chambered sump pump system, the water that runs back in won't turn it on. It won't just keep short cycling like it does in the home with those little basins that the contractors and builders get away with putting in, just out of pure laziness. So the reason why we're going up on a nice soft angle is so we can eventually get some height. We don't want to start high here because then we got slope and we're going to run out. We're going to run out and we're not going to get this water where we need to go. So you got to go ahead and make sure you don't have bellies, no dips in between how you fasten it to the fence. Then, because if it has a belly in it, now in the wintertime, that'll freeze and that'll hurt the performance of this discharge line. So we're gradually on a downward. Now, trust me, this fence is far from perfect. I mean, this fence is old. It does this. So what's great about this is easy to work with, this schedule 40 here. Now, once we get to here, we just have a couple feet of this inside this. We go up to 2-inch. It's nice and light. It's small. It's easy to conceal. When we get done, we're going to put a little paint on it. Camouflage it. Guys are doing a really good job. They're gluing the belled ends. You know we like the deep bells. We don't like pipe that don't have bells because you end up with just a small coupler and it only covers like half the area. So I love the deep bells. Remember that. Deep bells. Get the deep belled pipe. If the pipe don't have bells, leave it at the store. The guys are doing a great job. Beautiful job. Beautiful job. Real clean. They're going to go right behind these arborvitaes. Once we get to this point, we got to cut a little notch out in the fence, and I'll show you how we're going to dump the water once we get to that point. Camouflage it. At least you can't get arrested for this kind of spray paint, you know what I mean? We got to keep our young people out of trouble. We got to give them good jobs and teach them how to do quality installs. Here you can use all your tagging skills to camouflage our discharge line. Sweet. Okay, young people, this is how you use paint. You don't huff it. This is what you do with paint. You apply it to something, not your lungs. Sweet. Looking good.
Ya hay medio parcelo. Necesito un martillo porque aquí agarró un pinche clavo. Ahí está. Ya. Ok.
We had to send one of our skinny guys in there. So we got a rubber boot right there.
Oh,
So we're going to plug in the heater for you, and now you could plug in your extension cord, since that's something that you're only going to use as needed.
Yep.
And of course, you know, we have a 25-foot cord on this, so you're just all the way to your receptacle. It's kind of cool. We, you know, we didn't have to do anything fancy. You know, just run it underground and come up right there.
how deep is the
Oh, we
cord for the pump?
usually we put it in like 3 to 4 inches, because
Okay.
if we ever got to service it, we need it to come up and out easily.
You want us to bury this one too?
No.
No? Okay.
Thank you, no.
Alright.
So now that cover will fit. He'll put a couple screws in it for you if you want. That way you don't have to worry about.
Kidding? I'm going to sleep next to this thing.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. Especially when you know you've been through what you have. I mean, I've seen the pictures. I know what
You got no idea.
I know. I know. It's,
Wiping the dog's feet.
yeah,
and all
it's
that.
endless. It's endless. So we got some stainless steel.
No screws.
You're good with it?
Okay.
You want to just put a couple bricks on there, and then that way you always check it. You know, it's a peace of mind when you can look in and see that everything's right.
Yeah.
And if you want to test this, well,
You can walk on it, right?
yeah, you can literally open this up, reach down, and lift the float up, and just let it pump water. You know, whatever's in there. And you can run a garden hose in there. It's going to take a while to cycle it, you know.
Right, because it's a big chamber I designed.
Right on, right on. So we camouflaged the discharge, you know, the best we could. And, you know, I can show you what we ended up doing out in the front. It looks really clean. So there's downspouts. There's one there. There's downspout here. Neighbor's got his downspout running on an angle this way, which is wrong. So many things wrong with that. It's not even funny. Neighbors. There's our discharge. So we take it to a gutter. Then we put a splash block under it. We're just giving that the same camouflage paint that we use for the discharge line. Just Ian thought it'd look better than bright white, and he was right. All right, when we test this, it's going to puke some water, so we don't want to have any of the electric tools around. I didn't think there was that much water in it to begin with, so it's I mean, it's a chambered system, and it wasn't even full yet. He made it go on. Well, it's your water and it's on your driveway. Nobody could say a damn thing. That's why we do them like this. It's getting where we can't take them to the street nowhere. Not here in Michigan. All the places I work, they won't let us take them to the street no more. Man, that thing was only half full too. That was a lot of water. You know, I'm not belittling it. I mean, it's running like a river.
Good.
Beautiful. So that it was about half full. I mean, the yard has been filling that up. We actually discharged it earlier just to try to dry the yard out. But we discharged it differently because we didn't have our discharge line up on the fence and in place. Nice. So this is only going to go on when it's above freezing. When we get snow, this is not going to go. Because people always ask about ice. I'm like, hey, when it rains, that thing's going to be running. It's that simple. Here in the north, when it's ice, well, it's snow, and that thing's not going to be running. If we have a thaw and it goes on, the temperatures are too warm to ice up the surface. So there you have it. That's what we're doing. That's what we've been doing. Everywhere we work, can't take them to the curb no more. It's all kinds of crazy rules, and it seems like everybody's got that one neighbor who's just a jerk. So here you go. No one can say nothing about it, and your yard stays dry, and you don't have to deal with a pump, because that's a nightmare in itself, having to drag a pump out and manually pump the water out every time it rains. All right, guys, till the next video. This yard's holding a lot of water. A lot of water. Now you really got to be careful when plywood gets muddy. It's really slick when there's water. Like we had a lot of water in this trench. We're still moving a lot of water. So you really got to watch it, because you'll go to stop with the ditch witch and this will happen. So I don't like to name names, so we're just going to show you how we're going to go about getting this out, so that when this happens to you, whether you're renting the machine or whether you own it, there's no way to get the truck back here. So we're going to put some stone in the trench, fill it solid, drive this thing out is the plan. Alright, we made use of some of those bigger roots, put them underneath the tracks. Now we're going to fill this trench with stone. And then I'm going to purposely spin it right on the trench. We're going to get this level with stone. Then I'll be able to pivot the machine and back it out of here. I guess the only advice I have is just don't have this happen to you. The 1550 is 4 inches wider and a lot heavier. So you're at the edge of the plywood, and when you go to stop, the weight it's a great machine, but size and weight always come at a price for certain things. So if you're working on plywood and it gets too slippery and you're using this machine, I would recommend put sand, just open bags of play sand, and put it on the plywood to help give you a little added grip. All right, so I'm going to show you pictures of this yard on a big rain event, and you're going to see all the bulk water that the inlet basins are going to take in. Now remember, unlike the NDS Easy Drain, unlike that, we use a pipe designated just for these inlet basins, and we use the Baughman Gold. It's a virgin material, no recycled materials are used. It adds to its longevity and strength. We got the high octane virgin material as well. Now that's in the burrito wrap, and that's protected from all that debris and garbage. So we got two separate pipes doing two separate things in the same trench. Here's our system. It's chambered. Discharge line. Now remember, we needed to gradually go up. Our chamber's so big, it doesn't matter that this is going to all run back in it, because it's a giant chamber. It's stupid, ridiculous, big. And then once we get up to our peak height here, then we just start going down on a gradual slope. You can see we camouflaged it. So from a distance, you're not going to see it. Matter of fact, if you don't know that there's a discharge line on that fence, the further away you get, it just gets lost. So instead of, you know, bright white and it's standing out. So we graded everything. We repaired everything. January in Michigan, you know, the yard is dormant, the grass is dormant, the roots recede here in the north. See the pitch? How we got slope? Look at that. All the way out. And then we take it to a gutter. Why? Because gutters are accepted. Gutters are everywhere, and the water just runs down the driveway into the street. The neighbor can't say anything because we take the water right to the driveway, and this driveway's got a pitch this way. The water just runs like that and out. And this guy's got his own issues. I still don't understand why that one goes that way when it needs to go this way. You know, people do that because they feel it hurts the appearance of their house. So let's just ruin the foundation of the house by pushing all the water up in the corner where it can't get out. Oh well. One thing I've learned, I can't get through to those kind of people. When you're going to let vanity dictate how your drainage system needs to be. So we went ahead and camouflaged that instead of bright white. Just kind of gets lost. And once the grass greens up in the spring, no big deal. When it rains and these downspouts are pouring water, that discharge line will be pouring water. It's that simple. All right, guys. To the next video.